I can crop it, so start whenever you're ready.
Carla, Chris, it's good to see you today. Last week we made some good progress talking about your relationship with both of your parents. I think that it was very beneficial for me to understand a little bit more about you both and how you have been feeling about both of your parents getting divorced. We'll continue to talk about this later, but I wanted to focus on the beginning part of our session today, talking a little bit about your birth order. I know, Chris, that you said you're an only child, and Carla, you have 3 siblings. Despite these differences, I think you both will benefit from this conversation. Carla, can you tell me a bit more about your siblings?
What do you want to know about them? I have 2 older sisters, one's 19, one's 21. I have a brother who's 14, and then my parents are married and live at home. Well, they're getting divorced actually, but that's pretty much it. I have a normal family, I would say, minus the divorce.
That's great, Carla. Sounds like you come from a pretty big family. So, tell me a bit more about your relationship with each of your siblings.
So, my older sister Maddie and I have always been competitive with each other. We played on the same soccer team in high school together for 2 years, and we've always worked out together and shared clothes. But she's always been better at me than everything, and she's never had to try as hard as me. We're close though, even though she's at college, we do talk a lot. My sister Avery and I aren't as close because she's 4 years older than me, so we never went to school together, but she's definitely the favorite child. She's the oldest, she's applying for medical school, was a star athlete in high school. My parents both favor her in everything. It's pretty annoying. And then there's Jack. He's fine, I guess. Kind of annoying, we're not that close, but he loves playing video games all the time. He does play soccer too though, and is trying out for the high school team, so sometimes we get a run together. He also gets babied a lot though, which is also pretty annoying, but I'm the middle child, so I just kind of ignore it.
Well, thank you for sharing all that information with me, Carla. I appreciate it. Now, Chris, since you're an only child, can you tell me what being an only child has been like for you?
Well, for the most part, it's been good. My parents and I have always got along well before the divorce. I have a lot of friends, and my parents usually let me have them over whenever I want, so that's nice. I like being an only child though, and that way I normally get my own way and don't really have anyone to fight with.
From your parents, it sounds like you haven't really engaged much with them recently. Is that true?
Yeah, I can't believe that they would think that leaving would be good for me or for the family.
I understand, Chris. That must be hard to face.
Yeah, it is.
And that's okay, but I'd like you to explore that a little. First, let's go back to Carla. Carla, it sounds like you have a pretty good, solid relationship with your siblings. I asked about your relationship with them because I want to talk a little bit about your birth order now. I think you may find it interesting how the order of your siblings may impact your relationships with them and your thinking in your family. There actually is a theory in psychology that talks about how the order of your birth in your family has a rather large impact on your behavior and thinking. So, you're the 3rd child. You could say one of the middle children. How do you think that has impacted you?
I think it makes me feel a little blended in because I was the 3rd girl behind 2 really successful sisters. I don't really make a big scene ever. I just kind of did what I was told, try to be nice to everyone. So I guess if anything, it made me a little bit quieter than the rest of them.
That's some really good insight, Carla. That sounds a lot like you. There's an idea about how a child's birth affects your experiences in the family. Then that can affect the child's personality. In this theory, middle children are often overlooked by the family because of older siblings.
That definitely sounds like me. I feel like I was just the girl in the middle who was overlooked. My sister the star, my other sister the absent, and my brother was the baby.
Right, and so our private logic are things that we believe to be true about ourselves or others, and that often guides a lot of our behaviors. It seems like you often did not feel like you didn't feel good enough in your family, and as if you haven't received the attention you deserved. I want to switch gears and now focus a bit on each of you individually and how your anxiety and depression affects you on a daily basis. Chris, back to you. Tell me a bit more about how you feel when you're feeling anxious. Is there anything specific that you are anxious about?
Well, yeah, I get anxious about not being able to spend time with my parents when together. What they loved, I loved, and now that they're separating, we won't be able to do those things all as a family, and it makes me really sad. It hurts.
I feel pretty scared and sad too. I guess when I get anxious about my parents, I think about how it used to be before they fought all the time. And I get anxious about the changes. I don't know if you feel the same way, Chris. I feel like I don't have any control over the situation. And then I just get really sad and I just want to sleep all the time and I just want to go to my room and be alone.
You're going through such a difficult time right now. It makes sense to feel the way you're feeling. Like, you mentioned that you just want to sleep and be alone. Can you tell me just a little bit more as to why you like to do that?
I guess I don't really want to watch or listen to my parents fight. And when they're not fighting, my mom just asks me a bunch of questions about how I'm feeling or if I want to talk. And I really don't want to talk about it. She's part of she's part of the reason for this whole mess. I don't want to be a part of it.
So let me ask you this. By isolating yourself in your room, how do you gain from that?
I don't have to talk to my parents about my feelings, I guess.
But if you were to stop being in your room all the time, what would you be losing?
I guess I feel like my room's kind of like my safe place, so I'd be losing that. I don't like to ask my parents questions. I don't want to know the answers to, like why they got divorced or what's really going on, so I don't. So I guess if I were going to stop going in my room, I would have to talk about the situation to at least someone. And I don't know what new information I would find out. It may hurt me even more than I am now.
So it sounds like you feel this pain. It sounds like you have felt this pain, like emotional pain, for some time now. Do you remember when it was like before your parents were fighting and before you were experiencing anxiety and depression?
I guess it's been a few years since the fighting started, but I never used to even question if my parents were good. They were just my parents. I guess I was happy. We ate dinner together. They would come to my sports games. We all went out to dinner a lot. But now everything's separate. There's two of everything. 2 different schedules. 2 different nights for dinner. 2 different Christmases. I just feel like we're all tiptoeing around the inevitable and each other, which I don't want to be around.
That must be extremely hard for you, especially after experiencing the things the way that they used to be in, how they used to feel.
Yeah, it's definitely been horrible. I cry all the time. I don't know what to do, so I just sit in my room and try to drown it out. If I can't see it and I ignore it, then it won't hurt me more. I guess I'm just kind of repeating myself at this point, but we all used to be so happy. I don't know what happened. I don't even know the details. Again, I just feel like I'm just repeating myself, but I just can't get over it. My parents keep asking if I want to sit down and talk about it, which I guess is pretty nice, but I still don't think I want to do it.
Seems really hard to face that.
Yeah, you're right. It would be probably too hard to face. Exactly. My life's pretty unfair. I don't really know any other kids that have to deal with this. I mean, I guess, Chris, you do.
So let me ask you this. Why would it be too much to face?
Well, because I'm afraid of facing the idea that my parents are splitting. And all the changes that will bring will be painful. And I don't want to forget the past. So I just think it's too much.
It seems like you're using going into your room and not speaking to your family as avoidance in order to dodge difficult conversations with your family about divorce. It's okay to continue to avoid this conversation if that makes you feel better for now. Chris, let's move on to you. You previously mentioned how you enjoyed activities as a whole family. Is it possible to enjoy them separately?
I mean, that would be hard. I don't want to think about moving on without both of them together.
Well, I can imagine how difficult this loss of your family dynamic is for you. Let's try an exercise. Now, I want you to visualize doing unique things with your parents separately. What does that look like for you?
Well, my dad and I really enjoy spending time outdoors together, and my mom never liked to go camping with us, so I guess my dad and I could try to plan a trip together or something like that.
That's excellent. Where would you like to go with your father?
I don't know. I always wanted to go to Hocking Hills in Ohio, so I think we could try to put together a trip to go to Hocking Hills.
And what about your mother? What do you like to do with her?
She's more of an indoors girl. She likes to watch movies, and I love watching movies with her too. We don't really get to do it often, but I guess I could start doing that more with her.
Like, what are some of the movies you enjoy watching with your mother?
Well, my mom's kind of a scaredy cat, so I like watching horror, but she refrains from that. But we could watch like action movies or something like that.
Well, that's great. How does it feel to be imagining that?
Honestly, it feels good, but kind of scary because I'm scared it might not happen.
Carla, do you have any thoughts on that?
I totally get that fear of things changing and feeling like you're losing control of your family dynamic. I think it's kind of nice to hear you say that out loud, knowing someone that feels the same way as me. I don't really have any friends whose parents are getting a divorce either.
Yeah, it was different for me being an only child, but I can understand how being a middle child would make you feel overlooked. It's very different from me, but that makes me kind of grateful for the time that I had with both of my parents when they were together.
Yeah, I get that. That's true.
And yeah, I think one more thing I thought about when you were talking about hiding in your room to avoid talking to your parents about their divorce, I guess I realized that I do that to some extent as well. Well, I don't really hide in my room, I guess, but I just go hang out with my friends to distract myself from talking about the whole thing.